Hello, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching from. My name is Alfred Amuzu, and welcome to the Ghana Agenda. Today is January 28th, 2023. And today we are going to be talking about two very important topics. The first one will be Coup in NDC, and we are asking the question whether this is just a routine change of leadership in Parliament, or it's an exaggerated response to what otherwise would have been just a routine change. If there is anything really that we should be worried about with regards to the changing of the minority caucus's leadership in Parliament. So the second thing we'll be talking about is the COVID-19 audit reports of the government of Ghana with regards to how much was brought in terms of the donations we received, funds we received from the IMF, from the World Bank, etc., and how those funds were used. We know the Auditor General embarked on an audit covering the period of 2020 all the way through to June of 2022, and we want to interrogate some of the findings and see if really there is anything again that we should be worried about here. So today I'll be joined by Dr. James Ajay, all the way from Virginia Beach. He's a PhD in, I believe, social sciences, and I'm interested in hearing his perspective from the impact, the report that we have just read from the auditor on the average Ghanaian and some of the bad news we've been hearing lately. Dr. Ajay is here, so let me see if I can bring him in. Welcome to the show, Dr. Ajay. How are you today?
Thank you very much, Alfred. I'm doing good.
Great. So we are waiting for the rest of the team members to join, but I was just actually introducing you as a PhD in social sciences, right? So what I'm really interested in today, especially from your angle, is the social impact of some of these relatively bad news or bad reports that we'll be reading. We read the one on the COVID-19 and how funds were actually used by our government in trying to eradicate the pandemic, and also the issues of change or power struggle in the NDC. I'm really interested in picking your perspective from that social scientist background and see if I were a parliamentarian who hasn't been consulted, what is the impact on me, or what are the likely effects that would have had on my mental health and maybe my social interactions with my peers. So hold all your thoughts, but before we get into all the details of picking your brain on the specifics, introduce yourself to the listeners, since this is your first time you're joining us, so they can get to know who Dr. James Ajay is.
All right, thank you very much, and also good afternoon, listeners. Briefly, Ghanaians living in the U.S. and here because we care about the motherland and issues happening there. My background was in mental health and social. I'm also a political commentator. Follow what is going on back home. We live in America, but we are following what is going on back home. We also have a stake in the development of our country.
Perfect. Yeah. So, of course, I know you and I have had so many debates on issues happening back home. So, I know you keenly follow development in our body politics in Ghana. Even as we wait for the rest of the team to join, I just wanted to quickly kind of start introducing the topic. The very first one that I want us to talk about is sort of the change in leadership in the minority caucus in Parliament. We know that a letter has made a rounds on social media, which I'm sure you've also seen, where the current leadership comprising of, I'm trying to get the names here, comprising of Haruna Idrisu as the chair, the minority leader, James Kluche Avoji as the deputy, Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak as the whip, the chief whip, Ibrahim Ahmed as the minority whip, the deputy minority whip, and then Comfort Doye Doku, who also serve as deputy minority whip, are all getting replaced. We have a new crop of leaders being selected. This apparently came at the back of no consultation, at least from what we heard from Haruna when he had a media appearance. We've also heard Mubarak, who also says that there are a couple of leadership groups within the party. For instance, there is the FEC, etc., etc. Of course, my NDC people will join us shortly, and they will help us kind of explain all the various organs they have within the party to make a decision like this. Now, going back into even their constitution, you don't see any bright line rules as to how such decisions will be arrived at. Standing as somebody who's from the outside, who is not an insider to the party, how do you react? What is your reaction to a decision like this that is just made out of the blue and all of a sudden leaders are being taken over? Does that demonstrate that a party that is waiting in opposition, who has governed this country before and is planning to govern it again, itself is demonstrating the democratic sort of behaviors that you would expect out of them?
All right. Well, it depends on how you look at this. I do believe that has the right to change leadership. Also, in the history of the Fourth Republic, like, this is the first time that in any of the parties have kind of generated interest in public uproar, so to speak. You do recall one of the reasons why Ajua Safo with the MPP was that replaced in the majority. Joseph thought she had to be up in the leadership, and she was one of the grievances with the MPP. When you look at historically in changing leaders in parliament, it's always the party leadership and also the parliament. This time we have factions. It is obvious that the party, General Mosquito, is on a house cleaning exercise, and you can see that from some of the decisions that he has. But they've changed. Only time will tell, because strategically, I think it was a good move. Because if the party is in opposition, the chairman, and right now they don't have a presidential candidate. So I believe that General Mosquito in quickly to those leaders to consolidate his power, because you do realize that he didn't change leadership. Some people call it a coup. It was really the top leadership. He kept they kept two people in the leadership, Ms. Doyo and I think are still in the leadership. So it's not a coup d'etat against the entire leadership. I believe that the people who to stand against General Mosquito are replaced, and now he has put his own people. So I believe it's part of his effort to take up toward the party. As party in a powerful party chairman in recent, if since the EC for Ali, MPs and those sides, we haven't really seen party chairman. We do recall MPP, the late chairman, I'm trying to remember his name. He was at the money that would come to the party where they see, and he lost the time. We haven't seen any party chairman until recently, and I see Mosquito, and I thought the change was consolidate his power.
All right. So basically, your view is that General Mosquito is doing this as some personal vendetta that he has against people that, of course, now that he's in leadership, it's fair for him. But he was actually the general secretary before. You don't think he could have done this in the past? Before you go into that, let me also introduce Lifetime Legacy, who's also joining us. Lifetime Legacy, what city are you in?
Indiana.
Indiana, who's joining us all the way from Indiana. It's NDC spokesperson, always on the show. A Lifetime Legacy, we have a new member in Dr. James Ajay, who thinks that General Mosquito is here on some kind of a revenge venture. He's paying back people who may have disagreed with him or may have not supported him by removing them from leadership. I'll pick your brain about that, but I have a question for Dr. James.
My point is that not on the vengeance, but it is actually that his power. That is what I emphasize, that he his power, because by removing those two, he becomes really, of course, he's the de facto leader of the, but now he also becomes the most powerful person in the.
Oh, in other words, he's consolidating his power. That is what he's doing.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let me also bring Paul DeSosu to the show. Paul DeSosu, thanks for joining us. Paul DeSosu is joining us from Massachusetts. He also speaks for the NDC. Paul DeSosu, can you hear us? If possible, let us see the picture.
Yes, I can hear you, and literally because of the love, the respect I have for the show, I'm engaged somewhere, but I said contribute, and then I will ask permission to leave early today because to do some work with some friends somewhere.
Okay, no problem. So what I would do is I would, with the permission of Lifetime Legacy, I'd like to tap your opinion first. With this, that way we can free you to go and engage with your folks wherever you are. So Paul, I've presented my first question to Dr. James, who's debuting on the program today. Dr. James, me and him go back all the way to Virginia Beach. Even before Virginia Beach, all the way to New York. He's a very good friend, very smart on issues. Also follows Ghana politics avidly. Me and him have so many arguments, so feel free to punch him however you want. I'm sure he's gonna punch back. Anyway,
I think you are asking for something that you are not like. You asking me to punch him, and so I beg you, don't take me to that angle.
If you punch him too much, of course, I'll come to his rescue. So don't worry. So the issue is that all of a sudden, this letter came out announcing change of leadership, and we are asking the question whether this is a routine, process that has been part of the party's customs and cost of performance over the years, or if this is new. Now, looking through the party's or the NDC's constitution, there is no bright line rules with regards to how these changes are made. So my question then, which I presented first to Dr. James or Dr. J, is how do you, take this as a party member? It could be you next, Is it time for you guys to actually put some express rules down as far as how people are selected into power or removed from power, especially when it comes to the parliamentarian?
Thank you very much, Mr. Muzu, and I'm very grateful to be on this show. I want to say hello to my cousin. Well, I mean, for me, what is happening in the NDC is just a little mistake, people. As the other goes, I mean, the tongue and the teeth, they've been fighting. This is not an issue that detractors, the MP relating over and all those stuff. Look,
Guys, can you hear Paul? I cannot hear him.
All right.
Paul, you may be having a sound issue. So, okay, while Paul is waiting to fix his sound issue, see if you didn't put yourself on mute. I don't see that on my screen, but we cannot hear you. So if you can come back in. Lifetime Legacy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Alfred.
Okay, so Paul, can you fix your sound issue and come back in? All right, so Lifetime Legacy, same question I was asking to Paul. Do you think it's about time we kind of have these things written down, or do we need to still continue to rely on some implications of, how these things should be done, or some interpretation based on how it was done in the past?
Thank you, Alfred. Thanks
I think
to
your senior comrade is back, so I don't know if you still want to yield the floor to him or not.
yeah, I will yield the floor to him.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say thank you very much, and I'm very grateful that I've been on this show this afternoon on the topic at stake. Well, I wanted to state on record that was taken from the party headquarters, from the Baraka. There's nothing wrong with the decision. They have every right. Mr. Mush, don't forget that everybody in Parliament, all the parliamentarians in NDC, are there to serve their constituency meant on the ticket of the NDC. Now, the issue over here is not something that our folks from the other side, the MPP, should be jubilating over. It's a little misunderstanding. That's the way I see it. Our members of parliament have said if there would have been broader consultation before this decision is taken.
Right.
It has not happened before. Even though we continue to change, this is the first time that we are changing leaders in the middle of a parliament. You understand me? This is the first time such a thing is happening. Normally, we do change leaders parliament. But this is the first time such a thing is happening. That is why but I believe, and I strongly believe that the party chairman and the national executives have all learned a lesson. I would have preferred if maybe a lot of broader constitutions were taken. But heard the report from the parliamentarians. They were saying that they did broader consultation. As far much broader consultation they did, you and I, we cannot say. No matter, there are a lot of reasons, and if senses cannot be put out there, the change that came is for the good of Aris. Pet Honorable Harry Najuso, he's a good leader. Muntaka, friend, he comes to Boston. I visit him. We talk. He's my friend. But you see, he's taking the decision. We don't take the decision bothered on individual. We take a decision in interest of the party. And I believe that is what we are taking, or the party has taken. 2024 is around the corner. We need to change our strategy. We are following the same strategy we've been following for the past 6 years. I think we should do moving forward is that the Council of Elders have issued a statement who says people should come down and that they are going to look into the issue. Let's allow to take its course. Let's allow the Council of Elders to bring together the parliamentarian Raka office, the executives from the office. And I don't think this is something that is going to be too difficult to resolve. Any situation that comes in, it is talking, lobbying each other, coming to the center and all agreeing. I believe this is an issue that we are going to cross the bridge. It's going to bring any division in the party. And if I think they've gotten something, or because of this a little misunderstanding between the party national executive, they will take advantage of it. To capitalize. They've gotten it wrong. I believe General is meeting the MPs on Tuesday. In that meeting, they will resolve all outstanding issues. People will better understand the reason why the decision was taken. And the meeting, I believe they will all come together and show their support again behind the. And for me, Honorable Atufo is a good guy. He has 10 now, going to the 4th term, and he's done a good job. He can equally lead. Everybody in parliamentarians are capable of leading, and therefore, if the party who are sitting in the party head office, who have sensitive information, which you and I taking a decision, they know what they've done. All what we are asking that with tax General Assembly and Honorable People in 2024, and whatever means and ways they will do to it is like accident. Because Mr. Amusu, I believe in December 2024, they will carry the burden. The blame will go to them. So they have seen. Looking at the angle they are sitting, where they are coming from, and they think they have to do something, make us more formidable, ready to the 2024 election. I don't see anything wrong with it. So for me, I mean, this is the first time that we are doing such a thing, doing the middle in a term of a parliament regime, in this 8th parliament regime. So that maybe moving forward, if such a thing will be done, I think, I mean, there should be broader consultation and all those stuff. I think it's going to happen.
So Paul, there are concerns that this is very undemocratic, you know. Are you not worried about that? Does that not bother you? That, you know,
how undemocratic it is.
So this is the leadership of parliament, right? And of course, you know, the constitution referred to parliament as an organ, or the minority or the NDC caucus in parliament as an organ of the party, and therefore it is subject to decisions by, of course, the executives, right? However, you are not choosing the leadership to lead the party outside of the parliament. So it is important that the people who would be led take part in this decision or be consulted and have their inputs. I know. I've stated
to you earlier on that I would have wished, okay, that if, but for you and I sitting over here and the rest of the folks on this show, other information is that the national executives have that we don't have. They might be having sensitive reasons why they took that decision. Mr. Amusu, could you believe, or do you think, to consult them to do the broader consultation as we are all looking for? Don't you think could have brought more? Because even the decision has been taken, look at what is happening. So for me, I'm just saying this. Let's move forward. The national executives have taken a decision. They cannot resist. That decision has to stay, and let's move on with it. Honorable Muntaka, honorable perfect gentlemen, they are good gentlemen, they are leaders of all standards. They'll be able to lead group for almost 6 years. And they've been able to lead the speaker in opposition. They've done a yeoman's job. But the question is, the brain is not in one man's head. Let's try other people. Let's give chance to Forcing and the new group they've selected. Let's see what they can also do. So that our major goal and focus is to really nothing more. As I stated to you, coming Tuesday, General is there. Parliamentarians, they will be having a caucus meeting. And this issue will resolve. Tell my brother if the fake letters they are posting all over, the fake we send a decision. It is not true. No such decision has been received. We have elected new executives or new leaders and we are going to go ahead with it. Honorable Muntaka, Honorable Haruna, executives, and they will do a yeoman's job. Trust me, they will do a yeoman's job. These people.
All right, Paul, we got you. Okay, so
revising their notes, if they think this is going to, then they got it wrong.
Okay,
we are a party of the. Alfred, just give me 1 minute. Let me now. A party that we believe in democracy. We are not like my brother Ifa and the NPP, whereby they are former chairman, former general secretary.
But Paul, you
have
should be
different
concerned saying
opinions
that, right? You are saying
of
you're
their
a party. You
I
are
am
saying you're a party
concerned.
that belongs to
You
democracy,
see,
but
I am concerned, but you need to realize before you try to move the lock of somebody's eyes. My brother Efas to tell us how the party chairman, a whole party chairman, a whole party general secretary who were elected because they did not agree with the then our president, they did and find every way and means to oust them out of the party. We will lobby with our people, we will talk to them, we will sit on the table and discuss. We are going to have letters by next week, Wednesday. This is going to be a dead news.
okay, Paul. Thanks for the
about.
information. We got to move on to
Thank you.
welcome Efa Ameyaw to the show as well. Efa Ameyaw, now that your name has been mentioned, I will quickly bring you on. And Lifetime Legacy, please forgive me for this. Just hold on tight for me because I want to balance the perspectives a little bit. So Efa, here is Paul touting NDC's democratic credentials, and I'm surprised he's doing that at the very time that the party has exercised the most undemocratic decision ever. Do you agree with Paul that, of course, this is just a little arbitrary a mistake that people shouldn't read too much into, because it's saying yes, a broader consultation would have been proper, but be as it may, we should move on. We've seen this even in the MPP when the chairman and Akoto and the secretary were yanked by the current president. So, I mean, this has become the practices, the customs of our political parties. Where is this a big deal? Why is this a big deal? I thought that's to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amuju, for the opportunity, and good morning or good afternoon to my fellow panelists, Lifetime Legacy, and all my team also, and Dr. James? Yeah,
Dr. James, yes, it's a new entrance.
Yes, as we grow in our political space, right, we must avoid the avoidable, and we must deepen our democratic process. That's what we are all expecting.
Right.
People are going to be popular somehow. Others are going to be taken over from others and stuff like that. And
right.
we only call for fairness when you do some of these things. You don't do unnecessary things that will cause controversy and disunity and tension and all that kind of stuff. Now, we want to answer the question, why the change in the norm? Right. The last time or previously, it has been a broader consultation, and especially the last time they had a situation where they had to go around the whole country, 16 how many constituencies and all that, for people to vote in an envelope and then send it to them, and then for them to collate and then decide who should be.
They gave you an explanation. They said that was when the current parliament was initially formed, but now it is in the middle of the operation, as all they are doing is changing. So it doesn't have to go by
really matter.
that
anymore. What is important is that you are making a decision. You see, this is like a wife, an institution, and all that. People life matter, right? How will you feel? How will he feel? How would everybody feel that you are there? You hear in the news that I'm no more this, that this person is that. It's very disrespectful. Taking the democratic stuff aside, it's very, very disrespectful. It is very unacceptable. You don't do that. You don't do that. And this is not even a mere person in a party. You don't stop people. These ones we can just appoint and disappoint. You're talking parliamentarians. Man, they didn't go the route they went, because look at the people that have been voted and the people that have been appointed and the people that have taken out. If they had gone through that same process, they know who would have been asked that we want this and that. That they currently doesn't have gotten anywhere. So what do? We have to bamboozle our way through. Okay. And we know within the NDC, people are going to be making noise. there have been the deputy secretary has been beaten, and this person saying this, somebody won in 50 quarter, and all that kind of stuff. The question is, was this avoidable? Yes. Why do you treat people like that? You don't treat people like they are garbage used and dumped. Of course, there has to be. I mean, occasionally you change leaders, right? This one goes, that one comes. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you feel that at a point in time, oh, you have outlived your usefulness and that there is the need for replacement, who is going to say, are we not calling for reshuffle? That those that are there should go and another should come. So at any point in time that you feel there is a need for change, there is nothing like that. But you don't do it as that. The person is there in the office, and then someone comes and say, I've been asked to take over. I mean, very disrespectful. So they should find a way of doing it. No, they're going to deal with the matter. Nothing is going to happen, okay? I mean, it is not going to happen that they're going to replace them with the old and stuff like that, because the integrity of those who did this is also at stake. They have to stand down, even if they are wrong and stuff like that. And the Council of Elders has issued a statement that they're going to be dealing with the issues, and yeah, they're going to talk to them and they're going to slide. But let's deepen the democracy. Let the consultation, the participation, let people feel part of it, and especially the people that are involved and those that matters. Let them know that they're part of it. But we are not surprised about these things, because we said that radicals have been elected, and we should expect some of these decisions. Okay. But in the course of doing things, right? In the course of doing these things, well, we want lives. We want them to take decisions that will save lives. We want them to take the decisions that will move the nation forward. We want them to take decisions that will deepen our democracy, and not a decision that before you realize somebody is beating up. You know, this person is demonstrating. No, we don't want that. We don't want some of these things. That's why we are saying things are avoidable. When you make people speak, okay, and after they've spoken, you take a decision and they realize that, oh yeah, I was also part of it. They feel belong. They feel part of the process. Then sitting in the office and thinking, ready for the consequences anyway. And this group of people that you have, congratulations. We'll meet them in Parliament and we'll take it up from there.
All right. I mean, so I think we are right to ask the question if this is an exaggerated response to something as routine as this. I think something is wrong with my camera. Yeah, so it's not an exaggerated response, but I think you sound exaggerated about this. Why am I saying that? I mean, basically, the NPP has done similar thing, right? When they yanked their elected officials off of
no, it did not.
Leadership.
No, there was a process. There was a process. It wasn't like this.
You have a presidential candidate who disagreed with the party leadership and therefore made changes. So I'm saying that, I mean, I don't want to kind of make it a one-party thing. This has become the customs and the practices in our body politics. This is what we do. But I'm not going to overstress that. Let me bring Lifetime Legacy and pick his view on this, because the main
but let me make a correction. You see, for us, no, your this thing is mute.
Oh, you cannot hear me?
Now we can hear you. I can hear you. I don't know about them.
Yeah, go ahead. You can hear you.
It's on enough. It's on enough.
Yeah, I'm using a new. What do you call it? I'm using.
So 2 points. 2 points that were raised, and then we quickly make a correction. So let's assume MPP did it was wrong. So you are using that to justify yours. I'm wrong. You were wrong. So what matters? I mean, you see, we have to deal democracy. We have to make it such that, oh, there's a precedent, we learn from it, we improve upon it, and go. But we are always going backwards. This is not democratic. This is not respectful.
Right.
This is unfair to the people that have been affected. And you must own up to it and tell the people that don't repeat this. Don't come and say you did it so blah blah blah. But those years ago, it's gone. Okay. Now we are in 2023. Something has happened, and we keep going back to score political points and to justify our undemocratic and very disrespectful behavior. Respect the people a little bit. They voted you there. They don't expect you to be taking decisions without consulting them,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, brother. With his spirited submission on this particular one, you disagree that, this is not something the NDP would do. That maybe they have done it in the past, but we've learned, we've improved, and we should continue to espouse the democracy that we want to lead our people with, even within our own, internal party affairs. Okay, let me bring Lifetime Legacy. Lifetime Legacy, you would be the last submission on. I think we have Kojo DC also joining. Today is a full house, so I'm going to have everybody kind of contribute on this. So Lifetime Legacy, like in some 2 minutes, right? Tell me how you felt when you saw this letter. Do you feel disrespected? If you were a parliamentarian who has not been consulted at all, you were the chosen representation. This is where we say that this is anti-majoritarian, right? Because a majority of the people chose their representative to go to parliament to represent them, and those representatives among themselves chose their leader. Here goes one person somewhere with a stroke of a pen is making a decision that is counter to the desire of the majority, becoming what we usually refer to as a counter or anti-majoritarian difficulty. Do you feel disrespected when you saw this letter?
Thank you, Alfred. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on the platform to learn my opinion on the subject matter. I also wish Happy New Year to my brothers over here, most especially my brother Ifa. I think there's a communication between him and I haven't done that yet. I pray that he forgive me, and at the right time I'll get in touch with him so that we'll talk. Now that he's back on the platform, I assume that everything is okay and we can talk. Alfred, having listened to Dr. James and my brother Ifa, I now get the understanding why till now Nonado has not been able to, or does not have the balls to change his ministers. I also expect, in the same vein, what my brother Ifa and my brother James have mentioned. I will expect that anytime Nonado have the balls that he's going to do a reshuffle, he will have the edge to call every single minister who will be affected in his current administration. He will call them one after the other and tell them that, hey, I am changing you. I'm looking forward for that. Is it he who called for equity, he said must come with a clean hand. People who were elected by over 4,000 people into office. Nanado one afternoon get up and said that we move to minimum to wait. These people, I cannot work with them. And they were sacked from office. I don't know the moral right MPP and its communicators and their presenters, the moral right they have to question the decision of the National Executive Council of NDC. Alfred, politics is about strategy. It's about strategy. And you and I on this platform, even if I have an idea, this is not the appropriate platform to put it. We don't know the thinking and the strategy that went into that decision. So what moral right do the MPP have to question us for our decision? They are our opponents, and we are in a political contest.
And they wish you best. They wish that, you who would be inheriting from them at least have, a sense of democracy, even within your own internal affairs.
Alfred, every good leader sometimes must act undemocratically.
What?
And I strongly believe that. Yes, every good leader sometimes must act undemocratically. Let me give you a practical example. The detractors of Nkrumah describe him as undemocratic. Does that mean he's not a good leader? That is not the issue. The leadership were given a mandate, and the mandate is deliver the nation for us or win the general election for us. regardless of whatever strategy they will use to deliver, their ultimate goal is to win 2024 election. If they have to stampede a lot of people, they have to sideline a lot of people along the line to deliver that victory that we are all looking for. That is the ultimate goal. So the MPP are crying more than they believe. What is it that they know that we don't know? What kind of benefits are they getting from the current the outgone executives or the outgone leadership, for which they think that they are not going to get again? For that matter, they must cry wolf. Let me tell you, I knew for a fact that this change will occur. I knew for a fact. There was a meeting sometime last year before General became the chairman of the party. The question was posed to him, and he answered that question very clear, that when we get to the bridge, we will cross. We've now gotten to the bridge, so we have crossed the bridge. The MPP people should stop crying more than more than the.
Okay, land for me so we can move.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much, Lifetime Legacy. When we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. So apparently, we've approached the bridge, and therefore, General Mosquito pulled the trigger. And I mean, the MPP is right to be concerned about how undemocratic that is. And so, any such question is something I side with strongly. Kojo DC, are you with us? Kojo DC. Okay, if we don't have Kojo DC, I think we are also joined by Dr. Ato Kwamenedan. So, Dr. Ato, can you hear me? And if you can hear me, please give us your contribution on this issue. As the NDC's decision to change its leadership in Parliament, something that the public is responding to in an exaggerated manner, or do you think it's worth the way we title it today, or we caption it as a coup in the NDC? I don't hear Dr. Ato either. Okay, so James, any comebacks that you wanna? Okay, let me see. Kojo DC, did you hear me when I called for you, Kojo?
Yes, and I responded, but I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So quick, in some 1.5 minutes, give me your take on this, because I want us to transition to the audit report, which is where really.
So why don't you? So just because it's NDC, so you wanted me 1 minute on this one? Jesus Christ!
No, I strongly believe that you are from, you are fruit of the same tree, right?
He wanted the fast with this, so we can go and buy the government. That's right.
Yeah, I want them to kind of do their.
I think the auditor
I want them to kind of cry more than they believe.
I think the Auditor General report rather supposed to be like 1 minute 30 seconds, because we don't have all the facts. At the end of the day, we just said it's now in front of Parliament that they are going to probe it and see what will happen.
Hold that one. We'll come to that, but I need
problem. All right, yeah. So basically, yes, I don't know if I would say it's a coup, it's a palace coup or not, but it's just if you listen to it, the only thing is that the former president thinks that Aruna Idrisu become so popular, and then yesterday what I heard was that Mr. Kosipra said that the former president told us he didn't consider there are too many Northerners in front of the party. So he's think that it has to be changes. I'm not saying this. Kwesi Price said it. He will be the one, and he was so alarmed. Instead of saying he was there looking at the sky, even though you're sitting in the studio, he was looking at the sky like, I said, well, are you going to penetrate through this and then go out? The fact of the matter is, this is doofyism, but it concerns me. Sometimes when people dedicate their life to a political party, right? One thing that we all have to know is the respect. The NDC is saying that we, as the government, don't consult. And if you're doing a changes in your own parliament, in every opposition, you win power through parliament. The parliamentarians are the one that represents you They know what is going on in government most of the time. So they are the ones that bring issues out. But if you're going to disrespect people like that, that is really unfair. That's how the bottom line is, the executive had the power to do that. Is that the way to go? And then you come out and then you criticize the government in power. Where in the law that we say we have to consult NDC when we're making decisions? There's no way. But it's common sense that at the end of the day, if you are going to make changes and people who have been in power for about 6 years, Mutaka, for instance, about 11 years, you should have some courtesy. That's the only thing that you have to do. But all is the reasons the general secretary, no, not the general secretary. I don't know why I still call general secretary. Chairman Mosquito said was Atufosin is good, and then Haruna Idrisu is incompetent in terms of the economy. If that would be the case, then we need you guys to vote for Dr. Atufor to lead, because if the economy is the issue for 2024, the former president is a communicator. Has nothing to do with business. He has no economic background, for God's sake. So why don't we bring Dr. Dufour, if that is the logic that Chairman Ketia is saying? So it's just the disrespect of it. It's not anything much. They have the right to do it, but is that the way to go? And that is not. And they have no business criticizing us in any shape or form, because this shows the kind of incompetent the leadership is. And like my brother Ifa said, this is revolutionary people who have just come. They are doing everything like we're in the military junta, which is very, very, very unfair. That's a revolution. That's it.
Okay. We are back to the revolutionary days. Ato, do you agree with that? Do you think, I mean, of course, as bad as this decision is, it has been the customs and the practices within political parties in Ghana. They've all done this. They've all had strong men making decisions behind the curtain and throwing out these letters, and you really are caught up. You don't have any way to defend yourself as somebody who would have been victimized by any of these decisions. I mean, it's not the right way to go, but is it like, are we making too much noise about this thing than it deserves?
I saw this coming because Chairman of example, I was very, very uncomfortable with the NDC went about.
Right.
Yes, I knew there was something coming. I mean, there was something ominous coming. The timing, I think the timing is good, because by about all this.
Yeah.
I think the timing is right now.
It's the perfect time to do this. If we were going to do it, this is the time.
Yes.
It died. We'll forget by 2020.
Yes. The time is right. Try to push. I'm not saying, and that is just when you think that I think the end is just in 2024. But then it's right because in the network that we're talking about MPP. So, but like for example, and the way they went about it, make it seem like it was lost in 2020, which I mean, you put a coup in better comments. Otherwise, I mean, they are known for this. Really say the NDC because of how they are doing things. But then when it comes to their own party, where do we do the balance? You want to use for ideas. But when issues, it doesn't apply. I mean, the way this is doing things, the aim is. And it's so interesting to know if the president was involved in this. You know, he's not the party leader, so whether he was not something, it matters. I think that this is the right way to go. If you're only talking about having, I agree with my brother, Kojo, this is not the way to go. And like I said, if you pretty much come with clean hands, if you're calling it to consult, sending you to consult. So, like, I agree with them. I mean, although it's in the constitution, and then it's also the party can do this. It's state and all. They can choose for them. So to meet and decide what they want. Be against the standing order. I don't know. It is and the party, the members of the minority can meet together and discuss, and I guess it will create a lot of. Technically, if you look at what states, it states that so it could just be the or the party or the party. I mean, we know that.
We are hearing every other word. So
Oh, really?
I don't know
Sorry
that.
about that.
Yeah. Okay. Wrap up for us so we can move. Mhm.
Yeah. So in the right to do this, which is okay. I believe the way a big weakness in the party is not a better way.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think we've had a new entrance today, a debutant in Dr. James Ajay from Virginia Beach. He had the opportunity to talk about this initially, but now that you've heard everybody, Dr. Ajay, has anything changed? Have your perspective on this issue changed? Briefly in some 1 minute so we can take a quick break and then come back to the budget.
Yeah, I still stand by my earlier submission that this was a way for the new chairman to actually consolidate power, lawyers, and kind of get everyone, in tow with the direction.
Okay, perfect. Okay, guys, let's take a quick.
Alfred,
Yes.
something quick. I think while we are all making our submission here,
Right.
none of my colleagues, including myself earlier, have mentioned that the current deputy, the current secretary of the party, left Parliament not quite long.
Fifi Kote, yes.
Yes. One thing we have also forgotten to mention, the current chairman is a member of the Parliamentary Service Board.
Okay.
He sees the day-to-day activity of the leadership of Parliament and the activities of all the parliamentarians from our side.
Okay.
So if our people or my brothers, if or not for mischief, they want to play, in their submission, I was expecting that they will factor all this into their conversation.
Okay.
Let me ask you one question.
Myself
Let me
and
ask
you
one question.
don't see the activities of these people on a daily basis.
Let me ask you one question.
Proceed.
If you follow all the parliamentary leadership, both MPP, you know that Parliament deals with a lot of articles, rules, and regulations and standing orders. And each time, sometimes they spend a lot of time on the rules than actually because they have to know the standing order, who can raise a motion, and they got work.
Right.
And for the first time, you have a party that has a front, and you don't see any problem with it. That this was just.
You mean
when answering your question, is Chairman Sabuso a lawyer?
Well, but besides that, I mean, after 4 years,
I said the front bench. I'm talking about the leadership.
Is Chairman Sabuso a lawyer?
No, but I think
has he discharged his job?
Here's the thing, right? Dr. James, I don't necessarily think that after 6 years of being in Parliament that you still have issues with the rules, right? I mean,
they come up every day. Even
we don't make new rules.
It's just the same rules. Yeah, when Oforeta was referred to the committee, there were a lot of back and forth debate because every day they're interpreting rules over there. Every day they are looking at the orders to see if someone is in violation. or not. So you need a lawyer. It's just like Phil the striker. So I don't know what they're really trying to achieve other than a certain trying.
Okay, understood. All right. So you'd prefer a lawyer in that position versus a non-lawyer. Okay, let's take a quick 30 seconds break. We'll come back and talk about the audit report.
Yeah. Comment before you go, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
You see, what my brother lifetime legacy said is untenable. You've been to Parliament, those things are irrelevant. What we are asking is the process. We don't really. I mean, it is not really an issue if you want to change the person. That happens. Parliamentarians lose elections. Presidents lose elections. People are appointed and disappointed. But respect the process. Respect the people. All of a sudden, people of such caliber. No, that's what we are talking about. And if you know the implications of some of these, spend time taking on issues. Then now we have to spend time talking to parties, some meetings here and then stuff like that. If that is what you want to do, that's perfectly fine. But this is disrespect to the process. This is undemocratic and not justified. Repeat it.
Okay. All right, cool. For whatever reason, I think for those of you outside on your phones, your sounds have not been the best, but we'll take a quick break, and hopefully when we come back, you work on that and we can hear you clearly. Again, my name is Alfred Muzu, and you're watching the Ghana Agenda. If you haven't already done so, please share the link so that others can address. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show again. This is the Ghana Agenda, where politics and all issues related to Ghana are discussed on a weekly basis. My name is Alfred Muzu. I'm your host. Today I'm joined by Dr. James Ajay, Dr. Ato Kwamina Danso, Lifetime Legacy. Paul Disosu also speaks for the NDC. We have Efa Amayao, the Communications Director for MPP in the USA. And Kojo DC, who's the organizer of NPP in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Again, we've just completed our discussion on whether or not we are overreacting to NDC's change of leadership in Parliament, or if, in fact, it's a palace coup. I want us to quickly transition to the audit report that we've just seen from the Auditor General of Ghana. The Auditor General of Ghana did a special audit into COVID-19. The Auditor General of Ghana is empowered by Article 187 of our Constitution to actually, look into any accounts of the government or any government institution. They are supposed to submit this report to Parliament. Parliament, if it pleases, is required to put together a committee to look into the findings. If you look at our miscellaneous provisions in the implied powers in Article 198 or 197 or so, whoever has a power to do something, the Constitution says, is assumed to have that power to enforce what is asked to do. Again, when you go back to Article 187, which is the article that gave powers to the office of that Auditor General, he has been empowered not only to audit the financials of our nations, but also to enforce surcharges, to actually deny some of these payments to those companies and institutions that may have been involved. And some of these matters actually border strictly on criminality. And so my question to my panelists is, we have given sufficient power to the Auditor General to actually make change. And I am personally disappointed reading this report, especially when it comes to some of the recommendations. The reports allege all kinds of things. One very key one, which most people are talking about, is the fact that we have World Bank donation towards procurement of COVID vaccines. We've ordered for about some 84 million cities worth of vaccines, for which we only got about how much? Less than what we asked for. So far, it's about 81 million cities that we haven't received, or of vaccines that we have not received. Another issue was, we went and procure or got into a lease agreement with an uncompleted building in Adaklo for some 15 million cities, which we were going to use as a containment center, isolation center for people who may have been infected by, the virus. Because the building was not completed, we have to spend another 20 million for renovation. And we find out, we are not really going to get to even use this building at all. So all this borders on waste and abuse of the public purse. And the Auditor General has the power, according to Article 197, according to Article 187, to surcharge these people. And we are saying that whoever has that power is also assumed to have the power to actually enforce the duties that he's been assigned according to our implied powers in Article 297. Guys, are you as disappointed as I am? Let me start with Paul is also on this one before he jumps up. Paul, are you with us? Okay, Paul, if Paul is not there, James, you've been carrying the torch as the first speaker for us. Are you disappointed with what you've seen with the COVID report? It shows all manners of abuses and mismanagement, bad decisions left and right. This is at the time that we are asking bondholders to forfeit their lifetime contributions. At the same time, any money that is made available to our leaders to actually do something with, they abuse it, they misuse it. Are you disappointed? Not only with he who is misusing the money, but he who has been put in charge to actually investigate, the abusers and actually bring them to order or surcharge them or deny them these payments. But he's not doing that. He's making recommendations like, go back and collect taxes, go back and do things that he has been given the power to actually pronounce stronger enforcement on. Are you disappointed?
Disappointed. To say I'm disappointed is just to kind of trivialize the issue. This is not the first Auditor General's report coming from Ghana. So, an annual ritual for us, because every year, since every year, an Auditor General report will be issued. Different forms of malfeasance, misappropriation, and it's outright corruption. Even the Public Accounts Committee will hold public hearing. That will be the last we hear of it. So this has become an annual ritual. This has some disheartening and news, but at the same time, it has some problems, because usually you release a report, you have to let those involved to actually query the report and give their response, so that the whole report. But right now, it's like there are a lot of surprises in that involved, don't even know. So I believe the process needs to be changed, where auditors should see the report and react, because not all cases signify corruption. Some may be just misappropriation. Then they're capable of doing is, taking funds from one place and putting it in another. So corruption, but it would be nice if we change that process. In terms of the details in the round, I'll hold my judgment. I just want to see what will happen. Okay. Because when you're 25-year lease on COVID isolation center.
Right.
And if the people who signed those contracts are still in power, you're talking about vaccines that we paid for that we didn't get. You and I, if you pay for and it's not delivered in Amazon, you're going to call them and get a refund. So
right.
The report is out, and I think we shouldn't just assume that everything in the report is true. People, those who are accused, need to be given a fair hearing to defend themselves, to explain what, and then hoping that an action will be taken. And that's where I would decide whether I'm disappointed at the day if nothing comes of this report and it's treated like previous reports that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, my concern is that when you say when nothing comes out of this report, the report itself could deliver something. In other words, the Auditor General has that power to surcharge right off the back. I mean, as somebody who have been in the audit space for some time, I am disappointed just looking at the job he has done, right? And I'm going to explain to you why. When you do an audit as such, in your reporting, we expect you to kind of course, tell us the conditions you found when you did your assessment. Initially, you would have done some risk assessment to know where the hotspots are. And then based on your risk assessment, you determine whether an analytical procedure alone is enough, which means just looking at the four corners of the documents that has been submitted to you, or whether you need to go on the field and do walkthroughs, etc. And then when you are reporting, so you tell us the conditions you found, but you also tell us, based on your conversations with the auditee, what could have been the cause, what contributed to all these things, and make your recommendations. If you look at the report is lacking on several fronts. For instance, you say that these people 25-year lease, right? And your recommendation is that they should outright procure the property. For how much? You know, you're not giving us the appropriate information to actually kind of understand this report, because this audit report is for we the people. We the people are the ones who hold the power, and we are the ones who should be accounted to. So you do all these things and you don't provide any information for us to actually be able to process this report and have any meaningful sort of understanding of what you are telling us. Makes it very disappointing. For me, it almost sounds like a cover up, right? Because if you realize, the report was triggered by the Minister of Finance. Whether to cover things up or not, I mean, it's debatable, because you look at some of the things they say, for instance, the COVID vaccines that we purchased that we did not get. Has that money already been retrieved or not? He didn't go further to tell us that. He's just saying they should go renegotiate. Of the contract, because if you carefully look at vaccines, right? If I'm manufacturing a vaccine, it's not like the pandemic is going to last forever, where that vaccine, if I didn't give it to you based on the contract we signed, I could go and sell it to somebody else. So you couldn't come back and ask me for a special order that you have gone into an agreement for me and I've manufactured based on that order, but you couldn't take the order because you didn't have the need for it. You couldn't come back for the money because perhaps that vaccine has already been manufactured. So again, it's not thinking out of the box and putting us into some precarious positions by the type of contracts we get into. And you see, we have an attorney general, we have all these smart people, and how we ended up in this situation is what I'm disappointed about. Anyway, just a quick rant.
Yes. So at least you agree with me that deficiency is in the report itself, right? So in a portion of you audited the Ministry of Health. You know, there's $2 million that was supposed to be, it hasn't been done, or it's not where it's supposed to be. Just reporting that alone is not enough, where the money has gone to.
Yes, and that's what Domelevo was doing. He was actually doing the surcharge.
So when the report itself shows some deficiencies, then it's even hard to read any more features into it. Even the people who are accused of embezzling money or misappropriating money, they also say report. And we also saying the Auditor General probably didn't do a good job. Cover up. I don't know where you have that information from, but so I don't see any attempt by anyone. And it contains pretty damning information So if it's a cover up, I don't think it would have been in the public domain.
Yeah, what I mean by cover up is that, and I know I'm going to have to move away from this, but what I mean by cover up is that I'm saying that if you look at Article 187, Clause 7A, Clause 7, B1, B1 says the amount of any expenditure. Okay, let's go from B. So B says, the Auditor General that may disallow any item of expenditure which is contrary to the law and such charge. The amount of any surcharge or disallowance upon the person responsible for incurring or authorizing expenditure, any sum which has not been duly brought into account upon the person by whom the sum ought to have been brought into account. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that if you're not trying to cover up, you would have gone by the law. All right, the same law that actually empowers you to do the audit, you would have gone strictly by the expressive directives of that law, which is the supreme law of the land, the Constitution. This is not like in any parliamentary acts which you will say we might need constitutional interpretation for. This is expressly captured in the Constitution itself. But beyond that, we are saying that you have done this audit and you make recommendations without actually carrying that recommendation, without actually making those recommendations make any sense whatsoever. So yes, you uncover some rots, but it as if you're covering up for the wrongdoer so that we don't have a prima facie case to take those people on charge, or you don't even make any attempt to actually strictly apply the law which requires you to such charge them. Because again, you put an ambiguous information there, so it's not clear whether you should be surcharging these people or not. You're making some weak recommendations, and that is the source of my disappointment. James, if you want to respond to that, I can move on to somebody else quickly. All right, cool. Let me pick. Okay, sure. Let's go to Lifetime Legacy. Lifetime Legacy, do you agree that maybe there's an attempt to do something, cover a few things up here?
Yes, Alfred. For me, the outcome and what went into it, I'm not surprised. Who are in government? It's an MPP in government, right? So what do we expect? What do we expect?
I don't know that because MPP is in government, we should expect any particular thing. Which
Alfred, ever since these people have assumed power, have they done anything and did it well before? The answer is no. Anytime they do something, the first thing that comes to mind, what am I benefiting? It's not about the interest of the nation.
What have they benefited from the free SHS?
Alfred, that is 1 out of a million. And even that, if somebody is not benefiting anything, this auditor general report is giving us a damning revelations about things that has happened. How do you go and buy uncompleted building that you don't even need?
They didn't buy it, they leased it. But also,
how?
When you say you lease it, the report is not telling us whether they've paid the entire 15 million outright. I mean, how would you lease for 25 years and pay the entire 25 years outright? So let me ask you this question. If it is monthly lease, and then you are saying, so the Auditor General needs to actually do better than what he's done. I think he's put these information in the public domain, which appears to be negative, but he's done a very poor job.
Alfred, will you, as a good citizen who have the nation at heart, do what the Auditor General is alleged to have been done? Will you do that?
I mean, I wouldn't spend my money like that. But the question was the money they've spent like
that. So these people, our friends in government, our friend is in government, are always looking a way to divert money. If not, how will you go and even rent uncompleted building? Not a completed building, uncompleted building.
And the worst
of the state.
I think the worst part of that is then pump 20 million into renovating it.
Good.
And then
You
not
see,
having to use it
if
at all.
you and if the auditor general decided to dig further, decided to dig further, we will know who the owner of that house is and who is that person is connected to.
Right.
You get it? So
Right.
for me, it's not a new thing. I'm not surprised. We know those in government.
Mm-hmm.
If the report had said that, oh, they have done something marvelous or something extraordinary, some of us here will be clapping for them for at least saying that, oh, for once, they've gotten it right. But that is their trademark. So it's nothing new.
Okay, so I guess we
And the
should.
Auditor General will not have the balls to prosecute any person because, or charge any person because we know how his boss who was doing that was fired.
Okay.
And for him to maintain his job, the only thing he can do is to raise the red flags and keep quiet.
Okay.
Because that is the only way he can continue to maintain his job.
Perfect. Let me go to Efa. Efa, are you with me? Okay. I'm not hearing from Efa. How about Kojo DC? Kojo DC, are you there?
Right.
All right,
Can you hear
Kojo.
me?
Yeah, Kojo, let me read something to you right in Article 187, Clause 6. It says, Parliament shall debate the report of the Auditor General and appoint, where necessary in the public interest, a committee to deal with any matters arising from it. Would you insist on this, considering all the revelations that we've seen in this special report on COVID-19?
Before I even move on, I'll say yes. But before I even, but the same parliament, in the Auditor General report, I think the law that governs the Auditor General report, I forgot the article, but it also gives the parliament to set up a tribunal to find people. You know that, right? And at the moment, who is in charge of Public Accounts Committee? Let me say this, right? In memorial, we'll be hearing this from Auditor General for irrespective of what government is in power. But what we are failing as people is that we take everything to the lens of political lens instead of we talking about the things that are being affected the majority of Ghanaians, right? So why am I saying this? We always have the report. Either Ajumamen, who's in charge of PAC, or Ahabeyi is now in charge of Public Account Committee. All we hear is we bring it out, we accuse people without even thinking about how do we can surcharge people. So that means I can go take the money from the government, use it for whatever it is, make millions of profit out of it, and then they start charge me, and then that will be it. People need to be prosecuted. Like I said, the parliament has the opportunity to set up a tribunal to prosecute people who misuse government funds. Why is there? Is now at the moment the opposition is in charge of PAC. Why are they not doing that? Let me not even not say why they're not doing it. I will urge them. If this thing is so rotten like they are saying, they are in charge now. We have 2 years. They should do something. They should exhibit something that they mean business, not just saying it to tarnish people's image. And let me say this, the Auditor General report is now a finality. You know that, right? Me and you know that. People, you said, oh, it's a shady job. That they are covering up. That's why there's no prima facie. If there wasn't any prima facie case, why have people called to Parliament? They wouldn't have been called. You are a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer, right? But because there's something, that's why people are being questioned and people are giving answers. For instance, there was this project 6 years ago. There was appropriation to it, there was allocation for it. The money was already in the account. I forgot the name. By the time I finish, I'll find it and give you. The money is in the account of the agency. But because they are doing for this study about how the project will be As of now, 6 years, the money is still sitting in the account. But the Auditor General reports it as what? Money that has been spent, because they have gone to decide there's no project there. Meanwhile, the money is sitting in the account. So listen, we should be serious as a country and stop just tarnishing people's image just for political expediency. There should be a time where we all come together and say, hey, this is the money that could be helping somebody in Wale Wale. That somebody is taking that in. I'm not saying all the people are being just accused. Yeah, there are people who are embezzling money, where I understand. Those people must be prosecuted. After surcharging, they must be prosecuted. But we are not taking it serious because it depends on who is in power and the rotting goes on. And remember, this is a special report that was presented. We should go to the length and breadth of it and make sure every money is accounted for. Especially when the NDC, which is in charge of this, I'm expecting them to do one thing for Ghana, so that we can all say, oh, this one, we've done it well, and then there will be a precedent where we can always follow up. By the end of the day, we are just hurting ourselves as a country. You are saying, oh, he has done a shoddy job. Even Domlevo, who just left, said the Auditor General has done a good job, right? There has been some surcharges. Is that enough? I don't think so. Right? So we should come as people and forget about this NDC, MPP, where we'll bash each other when the shoe is in the other foot and say, oh, see, they are corrupt. And then when it turns, you say, oh, it's not like that. That's why we're bringing all sorts of laws that we are reading now. Meanwhile, we know the common sense is that we have to come together. People have names. People who are in charge of these businesses or whatever they've done, they have names. They know who is responsible for that. Why don't we just prosecute those people to separate other people so that this thing will not be going on? Now, I'm talking about the Fourth Republic every year. This is even 2020 special audit. What happened in 2019's one? What happened in 2018's one? 2017? Nothing. We just talk about it for about.
All right.
And then another one comes, and then we talk, hey, we should be serious as a country and stop this thing every day. We're just saying things just to tarnish people's image. Meanwhile, we don't have the fact. By the time whoever is in charge, whoever name is mentioned, tarnished. Listen, we all should come together as Ghanaians. Protect.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So we all need to come together and demand accountability beyond just the surcharges. Of course, when the surcharges are raised, I mean, if there's a grievance, there is a provision in the Constitution that says whoever has been surcharged can petition and get those grievances resolved, right? So it says, let me see, it says, yeah, I'll get that article and read it to you. But it says in clause 9 of 187 that the person aggrieved by disallowance or surcharge made by the Auditor General may appeal to the High Court. So I think that is where the criminality of this thing should be fleshed out. But first step is that there has to be a surcharge. So you don't release a report saying not surcharge anybody. And I feel like maybe you just putting something in the public domain to kind of show that you've been accountable. But the reality is a lot of things that haven't actually even made it to that report. And secondly, you haven't complied with the letter of the law. Let me pick Mr. Efa Amayao. Mr. Efa, if you're there, let me hear you, please. I can see him there, but it's not responding. Efa, are you there? Okay, James. Let's go back to you, James. James Ajay, Dr. James, are you with me? Okay, Dr. Ajay. So, Baumia talks about digitalization and how he's been able to connect systems and they are interoperable, etc., etc. However, in this audit report, we are finding out that out of all the money that has been used, about half of it was not even approved through the GIFMIT system. Some 534 million cedis not approved through the GIFMIT system. Everything that went through the Ministry of Finance went through the Give Me system. But if Ministry of Finance is not involved, or if it was through Ministry of Health or Gender or Transportation, Ministry of Information, none of that went through the Give Me system. So can we judge Baumia on the ends that we are seeing? Because the end of the means he keep describing that I'm doing digitalization, the end should have been that all our payments, vouchers that were approved would have gone through the Give Me system. Why do we claim and tout this digitalization and credit him with it? But here we are, half of payments are now being made through that system.
Well, I don't force. You know, we need scratch. So definitely, there are some good words. No, there's one thing we don't often talk about: corruption. We have this culture of corruption. So even whilst the government platform is corruption, they're human beings. They're always trying to find a way. I believe that let me discuss that in this. This is something that this is a good thing that will win, but I don't think we've that we should even give him any credit or any blame for that take.
Okay. So you don't think we should give him any credit for that? Because again, a lot of us are very much ready to say, hey, Baumia has done well with his digitalization agenda. But if anytime we look at the end, it doesn't really show. Do you agree with that as well, Lifetime Legacy? That, Dr. Baumia has done well with digital or digitalization in Ghana, except that people are not implementing. People are naturally dispositioned to be corrupt. And so they are circumventing the system and spending outside the system. Half of all our expenditures towards COVID alleviation and the payments were done outside of GiveMist, which shouldn't be the case.
Thank you. Let me correct something. The GiveMist system was not introduced by Baumia.
Yeah, I understand
it was in existence. We implement that policy before we left out of
But
office.
he has, he claims that he has made it much more interoperable. Where
so in trying to do that, you need to be fair to giving credit to where it's supposed to be due. So I need to correct that. He didn't do this thing. Rather, what I think they came to do before we left office, we put those systems in place where every single expenses of the government goes through the GiveMix system. But because they wanted to dip their hands into the state's money, they always do procurement and purchase services outside the GiveMix system. The finance minister is on record to have done that. So this is something they have been doing ever since they assumed office in 2017.
Okay.
And it's if they don't have any criminal intent or the intention of siphoning the nation's resources or money, they won't do or they will not divert all purchases and services outside the GiveMix system.
Okay.
So like I said earlier in my prior submission, we know those people who are in power. We know what they are up to. So as usual, it's not a new thing.
Okay. All right, guys. I think it's been great. We've done justice to this two very difficult conversations, especially the one with the NDC making perhaps what we would have been construed as a routine change Although the response that you've seen so far, even from the members of parliament themselves and from the grassroots, seem to have not been one that favored that decision. In other words, people thought there should have been more consultation, broader consultation on such a decision. And another difficult one of why it is important that powers that are given to people by the law should be actually carried out by those people, in terms of the Auditor General having the power to actually do more than just giving us all these incomplete assessments of the special COVID examination that he undertook. Let me pick up your last words. I'll start again. Let me go to Afar one more time just to see if I can get him. Afar, are you still with us? If you're with us, please give us your last words so we can go. I will take that as a no. How about Dr. James? Let me hear your last words. James Ajay. It's been your first time on the show, and I appreciate all the contribution, even though the sound was giving us a bit of a problem. I think if you were home in front of a computer, your internet would be a lot more stable,
Right.
Which would have given us a better sound. But I've enjoyed all your takes on the issue. I've enjoyed all your takes on the issues, and I was hoping that maybe in your closing statements, you tell us from a social interaction, social cohesion perspective, all this bad news. Do you feel that the average Ghanaian would have some stress issues, or would have some, depression issues with, one bad news after the other, one bad news after the other? Yes, I can hear you. If I'll come to you in a minute. So James,
yeah,
go ahead.
definitely. That's it came from Ghana, and yeah, people are really, because when people are in their pocket, moreover, uprising stuff, when people can take it all. Since we're talking about for ordinary people being deprived of their resources. We're talking about building. This money could have put chairs for people. So you realize that it's happening. Really, it's slowing down. So it is about citizens unite to speak against whether you're MPP or NDC. What also so sometimes they just put it that way. When they realize that the minority leadership, so they need to do. It has been the minority leader for 6 years. For God's sake, when they realize that the risk of this. So sometimes they should come up with new reasons, and like I said, a means to get rid of hurdle, stumbling block in their way, and a pseudo following party. Some people.
All right. That is James Ajay, doctor from Virginia Beach, joining us today to deliberate on some of the issues that are plaguing us in Ghana, some of the difficult conversations that definitely need discussing. And personally, I think, the average person living in Ghana is carrying a huge depression at this point. So let me see. Effa is no longer with us, but Lifetime Legacy, please take us home.
So, Alfred, all that I will say is that my closing remarks is that Mutaka and our former minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, the party loved them. The party doesn't have anything against them. If they have the interest at heart, the party's interest at heart, they should see the reshuffle as a good news that will bring the party to power and refrain from anything that will mar the internal cohesion that we are currently having. It is to their interest that they calm their supporters in their constituency down. This is the position, the reshuffle is not the end of their life. They will still serve the party in different capacity. The party needs them, so they should not do anything that will destroy the hard-won reputation they have in the party. I also use this to push that they should quickly come together, let the past be, so that we hold the Tivre government accountable by virtue of these damning revelations from the Auditor General report.
All right. Thank you so much for all you do for this show. We really appreciate it. And we'll be also thank you, Dr. James, for joining us today. Dr. James Ajay for joining us today. We hope that you enjoy the show and that you would return to help us navigate issues that we would place on the table for discussion the next time. Thank again to all the listeners for listening. This is the Ghana Agenda for 28th of January 2023. We are happy that you were able to join us for this last 1.5 hours. If you haven't already done so, please share the link and invite friends, comrades, others who may be interested in our polite but at the same time respectful take on the issues of the day. Again, we think the average Ghanaian, personally, I think the average Ghanaian is going through some trauma. We all need some counseling at some point. It's impossible that we'll have this bad news after bad news after bad news after bad news and still have your mental faculty not impacted. And for what? Just for voting for people who we think should lead us. Is that the crime? Is that what we've done wrong? I mean, guys, if you're not going to be able to genuinely sacrifice for your country, don't even step up. You guys are making it so hard for us to, just enjoy perhaps the 80 years we have on this planet peacefully without going crazy. So again, thanks for all the viewership and thanks for your support for this show. Share the link, subscribe to our channel. We come back every Saturday from 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to maybe 3:30 or 4 o'clock. My name is Alfred Amuzu and I'm your host. We'll be back next week to continue our discussions of issues in Ghana. Thank you. Bye-bye.